Welcome to a new series, Operator Showdown, when I take a look at different operators in Trainsim World, exploring them and see what do I think of the operator in Trainsim World. For this first episode of Operator Showdown, I will be taking a look at CrossCountry, an operator that operates intercity regional express trains in the UK. Also, as a side note, although the HST looks cool, it isn't included in this review, mainly due to the fact that the HST livery is made in the livery designer as opposed to being included in the game. I just had to show you it here due to it looking cool. CrossCountry, legal name XC Trains Limited, is a British train operating company owned by Arriva UK Trains, operating the current CrossCountry franchise. CrossCountry is seen operating around the UK from various places, from Reading to Penzance, Manchester to Edinburgh, Newcastle to Birmingham, and Nottingham to Cardiff. In Trainsim World, the CrossCountry brand can be seen on routes like the Birmingham Cross City, Riviera line from Exeter to Paynton and Plymouth, and will also be seen on future upcoming add-ons, add-on Birmingham to Crewe by On Aboard Studios, as well as appearing on the future GWE remaster, and will also appear on future layers on the Manchester Airport commuter. The trains included with this brand in Trainsim World are the Class 170-5 and -6s and the Class 220 Voyager. CrossCountry operates long-distance regional services and intercity routes in the UK. They are operated by Arriva Trains Limited and operate a number of the longest distance services in the UK, such as Penzance to Edinburgh, Cardiff to Edinburgh, Plymouth to Glasgow, Cardiff to Nottingham, and Birmingham to Stansted Airport. In Trainsim World, CrossCountry appears on a number of routes, such as Birmingham Cross City, Riviera Line, and the future released routes of Birmingham to Crewe. CrossCountry operate on these routes with a number of rolling stock in the game. The Class 170 feels very nice to drive. This is included as part of a gameplay pack called of the Class 170s operating on the Birmingham Cross City. The Class 170 appears on the Birmingham Cross City, operating on the section between Bromsgrove and Birmingham New Street. It will also appear on the soon-to-be released Birmingham to Crewe route, and will operate a number of services along that section of route. Timetable mode for the Class 170 CrossCountry edition include two different variations. The -5 mainly operate with Bromsgrove to New Street and represent the Cardiff to Nottingham trains, while the Class 170-6 mostly represents Cardiff to Nottingham trains, but there are also a couple of depot moves up to Lichfield City and one from Bristol Temple Meads to Stansted Airport. 139 of the Class 170s were built, but 122 are in service as we speak, with CrossCountry operating three variations of the Class 170, the -1s, the -5s, and the -6s. They operate 22 Class 170s, of which 7 of them are 2-car and 22 of them 3 cars, used on services between Cardiff Central and Nottingham and between Birmingham and Stansted Airport. These were equipped from Central Trains in 2007. cross-country train that is represented in Train Sim World is the Class 220 Voyager. These Voyagers came from Virgin Trains when they lost the cross-country franchise to Arriva in 2007. Class 220 appears in Train Sim World on the Riviera Line route running between Exeter, Paignton and Plymouth. It will also appear as a future layer on the Birmingham to Crewe route, as well as layers to Birmingham Cross City, as well as Manchester Airport commuter. There are also a number of other areas in Train Sim World when the Class 220 operate or won't appear in the game. These include Derby on the East Midlands Main Line, Midland Main Line, or whatever you call it, the ScotRail Express, Glasgow Central, and the Fife Circle, as well as a few other places. The Class 220 is, for once in better term, one of the better units to drive in the game, mainly due to the control operators and the fact that the unit is just overall good to drive. Timetable mode for the Class 220 on the Riviera line includes 64 playable services. These mostly vary from empty stock moves to full passenger operations across the entire route. Mostly these trains operate from Exeter to Plymouth, but there is a couple of services in there that run down to Paignton. Most of these services come down from the north of England, but there are also a couple that come from Scotland, like the 1 V52 Edinburgh to Plymouth being an example. There's also one train in there, 1360. The 1847 from Exeter St David's is represented as the longest train in the game, operating all the way from Aberdeen to Penzance. There's also a couple of reversal services in there as well. And at the end of the day, a couple of Plymouth to Lara depot moves. 34 of the Class 220 Voyagers were built in the early 2000s, replacing most of the slam door stock that operated cross-country services. These were new to Virgin Trains. Before losing the contract to Arriva in 2007, the Class 220 Voyagers moved over to cross-country, which was now operated by Arriva Trains. All Class 220 units are now operated by cross-country, and the unit numbers varies from 220001 to 220034. Class 220s are mainly seen operate some of the more longer regional services, such as Edinburgh to Cardiff, Aberdeen to Penzance, and Bournemouth to Manchester. In my opinion, CrossCountry is one of the most strongest brands in the game. With loads of different brilliant trains, variety of rolling stock, and a good livery as well as the routes that they operate, CrossCountry is one of the better brands in Trainson World, who'd compared to the likes of ScotRail and Great Western Railway. In my opinion, I give CrossCountry a rating of 9 out of 10, and I do hope to see more of them in the future, considering that Dovetail Games has the license grant for them.